Hello, my friends. We just completed the completion workshop and somatic breath work, paired in one. However, I did forget to press record for the workshop. It didn't clue in until right before the breath work, so I'm recording this on my iPhone in one take. The workshop is precise, it's complete, it's to the point, and I'm just going to share it in one take. If I mess up with some of the wording, it's just going to be a one take. We'll just roll with it. So before we began, I did a feeler into the group to see who showed up. And I identified three groups, and maybe even a mix of both as well. Some of us don't have the awareness that we are in a loop, that we are living out a life that we don't enjoy. On a deeper level, we want something different, but it's so automatic that we wake up and do the same things, monotonous routines, day to day. And same with mental thoughts as well, where there's behaviors and there's thoughts or there's patterns that is so ingrained in us, we're not aware that we're doing it and it's not benefiting our lives. Just that awareness right there alone, if you give yourself a moment to reflect, on the week, the month, that awareness can happen in just an instant. So take note of that. There's another group of us. Many of us have the awareness and we have the tools, but we don't have the discipline to integrate it into our lives, to build that new neural pathway. And for this group, I highly recommend you surrounding yourself in the correct environment, because the container really supports your growth, your evolution, your discipline. That means listening to the correct books, correct podcasts, YouTube videos, and also taking action on them as well. This is difficult because I was stuck in this group for a while in the past. You have the awareness, but we just can't break the habits. Okay? So subjecting yourself to a new environment, and also replacing. We can't always just switch a habit. We have to replace it with something that's a little bit more beneficial or healthier for us, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, our thinking, because we can't just eradicate something. We do have to replace it. For example, this is just food. This can also be replaced with things or thoughts or whatnot, but food is the easiest. Let's say you are addicted to chocolate, and then after dinner, late at night, you always have that craving, and it's Reese's Pieces, or it's Kit Kat, or it's Coffee Crisp, the worst chocolates out there. It's not even chocolate. It's pretty much candy with a little bit of chocolate, and we are addicted to it, and we need it each night. So you can't just remove it cold turkey, maybe for a while, but that craving's gonna still be there, and eventually you're going to binge. So what do? Then you make that switch. You replace that chocolate with, say, dark chocolate, and then maybe dark chocolate with cacao, something that's more beneficial for your body. It's just better for you. That's not to say that the addiction is not there, but you've replaced it, and now that you're working towards a healthier option. And then eventually you're going to have to sit with that emotion. Once you get to the end, what is it that we are suppressing with food, with fulfilling that uncomfortable feeling? For me, I'm still addicted. I wouldn't say addicted, but I love my chocolate. I drink a lot of cacao and a lot of tinctures and drinks, all beneficial. So there's no guilt around it. But I do notice I make these tinctures and I have these when I'm bored, when I don't have nothing to do, when I've done everything actually, because I'm quite disciplined with my work, with my workout routines and my fitness and everything. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, you know what? I deserve something. I just want to indulge in something. And I've given myself that permission, and I'm compassionate to myself. But I know on a deeper level, there's something that I'm masking the treats, the cacao with. And that's just that feeling of sitting with myself in complete nothingness. Because when we consume something, our bodies digest it. the food makes us feel a certain way. So I oftentimes I like that feeling. Like I love the euphoria of, the treat. But I am learning to take longer moments to sit with the discomfort of nothingness, which is difficult for many people. Okay, so that's an example. And then for some of us, we have the awareness and we don't have the tools. And this is where a coach or a book or a course or a mentor, a psychedelic journey, a breathwork journey, immersing yourself in community and culture that supports, getting to know yourself and experiencing and experimenting, exploring different modalities, because not all modalities are for everybody, but having your own toolkit to help you create new neural pathways, to help you expand awareness, to help you get to know yourself better is very important. So books, tools, podcasts, coaches, people, psychedelic journeys, breathwork journeys, being in community and learning from others, just like this free workshop that I hosted. Okay, so those are the three. Just reflect on that. And now I'm going to guide you through a meditation on how a neural pathway forms and how we can form a new one. Okay, so just close the eyes gently, connect to the breath. In through the nose, fill the belly in all directions, bring it up to the chest, and let it go through the mouth. And now just connect to nasal breathing in and out through the nose. Relax shoulders, cheeks, soften the mind. Okay, just imagine yourself coming out of a farmhouse. This is your farmhouse. Okay, and there's your lawn, nice and tidy. The grass is cut short, but then just, 15 feet away, there's really tall, wild grass. Okay, and above, it's just tall grass. Let's just say that much. And you're unsure what's on the other side of the grass, and you want to check it out. You hear sounds, you're just curious. So you decide to go on an adventure one day. You start walking on the grass that is soaring beyond the height of you and making a trail. And you really don't know where you're going. You're following, the sound of the trees. There's a bit of a stream there as well. You're following the sound of the water, and you take different directions. You hang a left. You hang a left and you walk far left. And then, you think, you know what? I think I'm going a little far left. I'm going to try turning right and then going straight. Okay? It takes a few hours, but eventually you make it to the other side. And there's a stream there. Oh, wow. Fresh water. And there's a big apple tree. So now you notice that there's water and there's a massive apple tree with just an abundance of apple. You pick a few, put it back in your pocket, and you take the trail back because you don't want to get lost. You've already created a trail. It's a zigzag winding trail through these tall grasses all the way home. About 2 hours to get back home. Okay, and each day you take this path, collecting apples, bathing in the stream, maybe even bringing your friends to this special place, and eventually that path becomes a path. No tall grass, just short, condensed grass, and over time it rains, and then the water brings up the mud. So this path now gets mucky. And it's really, really indented. Like there's no hiding that this is the path towards this apple tree. But eventually, there's so much rainwater that it's so hard to walk through, and you you push your cart and you try to bike and your tires get stuck. It's no longer serving you. It's no longer benefiting you. If anything, it's causing a lot of, it's causing a mess. Clothing, getting stuck. So, what do? You create a new path. But this time you're older, you have more awareness, you kind of know slightly the direction, and you have a tool, and that tool is the ladder that climbs up to the roof. So you gain another tool. You climb up the roof, you look at the top of the roof for the shortest distance to that tree. Okay, you kind of map it out, and you come back down the ladder, and you walk straight directly to that tree, carving a new path, paving a new path to walk on that's fresh, that's easier to get there. And then what happens to the old path? It's still there, but you just allow it to grow in. And over time, when you don't use that old path, the grass just grows, the weeds grow, and it just covers up. And you start walking this new path towards that tree. So much easier, faster, and you learn so much more. So now you start to lay down mulch every time it rains, and then potentially even gravel as well, so it never gets really muddy. Eventually you pave this path because you know it's the best path. You pave it with cement. You can go with your four-wheeler, pick all the apples, and by now there's so many apple trees over there. It's growing in abundance, and there's so much fresh water. You bring fresh water from the spring back home. And this is how the new neural pathway works. Because as we get older, we develop ourselves, we gain more tools, we know what to do, what not to do. Sometimes the old path is so comfortable, we're so used to it, been using it for so many years, it's conditioned in us that we don't want to remove ourselves from that path and build a new one. But I really, really encourage you to build a new path. Okay, just allow that to sink in. All right, so how do we do this in reality, in a practical way? So I love numerology, so I always use numerology, and I pull in certain numbers that really resonate in my body. My body is like my compass, and 4 really resonates with me. 4 represents for me stability. So when you have 4, it's like 4 pillars, like the corners of a home. Okay, so what I want you to do now is grab a piece of paper or your journal and just jot down as much as you can without even thinking, whatever flows out. What in my life am I unhappy or unsatisfied about? Okay, what in my life am I unhappy or unsatisfied about? Something that I want to change. Just write it all down. Okay? All right, so from your list, select the top 4. These are the top 4 priorities. Highlight them, circle them. Okay. Now, between the top 4, which one's number 1, 2, 3, and 4? These are your 4 focus. It may take you a month to complete one, or maybe all 4, or a year, or 2 years. It doesn't matter, but the mission is to complete all 4. And once you're done that 4, we create a new 4. This creates a point of focus that you can really focus on, because if you don't have a point of focus, the mind just wanders. There's overwhelm and nothing gets accomplished. So if you just break it down like this into 4s, focus on 1 and then 2, 3, 4, and then you celebrate. Okay, after 4th, it's like freedom. You have a bit of freedom. 5 represents freedom. So for example, if there's number 1, this is what you're unhappy or satisfied with. You're looped in this pattern, this thought, this action, this doing. When you're confronted with that feeling or that situation, what can you do differently? Okay, this is the new path now. What can I do differently in this moment? Okay, there could be one thing, it could be 2 things. Write that down for each one. You can work on these simultaneously all together or just one at a time. Completely up to you. Eventually, you're going to get all 4. And I'll give you an example of how I use this system that I created a few years back. So a few years back, I felt like I always needed external validation, especially on social media. When I would share just, a frivolous photo of myself, I would get so many likes. But when I shared something deep from the heart, where like I'm so vulnerable, sometimes the likes are, half or even a quarter of just a regular photo of me smiling. And that would hurt. I didn't feel like I was enough. I didn't feel like my message was resonating. There was just so many stories going on in my mind because I didn't get that validation of that heart, that like from other people. And I kept running into this feeling every time I posted, which prevented me either from posting, or if I posted it, didn't get the likes that I wanted or craved, and I didn't get the validation, I would delete the post, even though it was a valuable post. And I'm sure it helped somebody. So then I recognized this pattern where I start to cave. I didn't like this feeling. So how would I change this? Every time I posted and was confronted with a situation that I didn't get the validation from others, I would feel into that feeling. And I would tell myself, Eddie, this came from your heart. And it is meaningful. If it came from your heart, it means something to you at least. This is for you. And I'm sure, too, it's helped at least one or two people. And that's all that really matters. So why do I need the extra validation? And I would leave that post. I would not delete it. So then I did that for many months, even a year. And that feeling softened to the point where it doesn't affect me anymore. Okay, so that's just one example of how I identified the situation, the pattern I was in, looped in, and how I had an alternative route that I can create, the new pathway. Okay? So that's it. 4. Okay, 4 stability. You can work on them separately, individually, or simultaneously, and have fun with it. A key thing that I learned on my healing journey, my journey of self-awareness and my soul's journey, I feel like the soul's purpose is to come back to the whole, to feel integrated, to feel connected to everything, everyone, every being. I feel like that's the soul's purpose. The soul is a fragment of the everything. So it takes a lot of courage to follow the soul's journey. And it could feel heavy. So what I also did on my soul journey is I added joy. Okay, my new space is called Ananda. Joy is the theme of my life now. Playfulness, joy, expression. Because when we add this into the healing journey, it becomes fun. Okay, in the past, it used to be heavy for me, and it can still be heavy, but that's where support can come in, community, but just turning it around and bringing joy into the process. Okay, there's also joyful ways of releasing as well. But that's a whole another workshop. I think that's it. Okay. The next portion of the workshop goes into the somatic breath work. Somatic breath work, similar to psychedelic journeys, is one of the most profound ways to clear. Okay. Just remove all the heaviness, the baggage, which allows you to connect to your inner voice, to hear the messages from your heart, from your soul. Okay. So cleaning, clearing, creating space. All right, so enjoy the breath work. Thank you for participating in this workshop that I forgot to record on Zoom. I feel like it's brought a lot of value for me in my life, what I just shared here, the 4 pillars, and adding joy and fun and playfulness into the healing journey and creativity as well. So I know it can support you. All you have to do is take action. And that's the integration process. Okay, happy breathing. Enjoy the breath work.